Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Just in here.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Dear brothers and sisters, Jummah Mubarak. MashaAllah, it's so exciting to see so many faces, especially the weather outside. It's kind of cold. It's honestly very nice to see so many people here. I think more than usual actually. So inshallah you all will be rewarded for the actions you put forth towards your deen. Allahumma ameen. Now, for my talk today, I was thinking that I would talk about Surah Al-Kahf. As many of us may know, there's a lot of virtues to reading Surah Al-Kahf, especially on Fridays. There's a hadith that says that for the one who recites Surah Al-Kahf on Friday, it is as if there's a light upon that person from one Friday to the next. So we know that there's a lot of virtue in the surah, but have we all really stopped to think about what the surah talks about, what's in the surah itself? And so that's what I want to do today. I want to talk about one of the stories inside Surah Al-Kahf, specifically the story of Musa alayhi salam and Khidr. So we'll start off by establishing the base or the foundation of the story. So as we all know, Musa alayhi salam was a noble prophet, one of the best prophets. His name is the most mentioned in the Quran. Musa alayhi salam, as all the other prophets are, was a great role model for the rest of us. And one of the great qualities of Musa alayhi salam was that he was always seeking knowledge. He was always in search of knowledge. And so, to put things kind of short, Musa alayhi salam was told by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he did not have all the knowledge in the world. There was actually someone out there who had knowledge that he did not have. And so Musa alayhi salam went on this quest to basically find this person, Who is this person who has this knowledge that I don't have? I want to go learn from them. MashaAllah, he had this sort of desire for knowledge. So when Musa alayhi salam finally came in contact with this person who was in searching for, who will now know to be Khidr, he took it upon himself to basically study behind Khidr and try to learn from him, basically, try to get that knowledge that he was missing. Now, this journey sort of starts with Musa asking to become the student of Khidr, and in order for Khidr to accept Musa as sort of a student in this journey, there was basically a condition where Khidr said, I'll let you learn from me, but do not question me for the actions that I do until I tell you why I do them. And this plays, later on in the story. So in this story, within Surah Al-Kahf, there's three events that happen, three scenarios. The first scenario that happens is Musa and Khidr are on a boat, and they're traveling, and all of a sudden Khidr pokes a hole in the boat, and Musa alayhi salam's like, what are you doing? You're gonna drown us, poking a hole in the boat in the middle of in the sea. I don't know if you guys are all good swimmers, but I'm not the best swimmer. I would be scared. But so, remember what Khidr said in the beginning. He said, don't question me for what I do until I tell you. So this is strike one, basically, for Musa alayhi salam. And if you all know anything about baseball and striking out, you might be able to see where this is going. The second scenario that happens is Musa alayhi salam and Khidr are traveling, and they come across a child, just random child on the street, and then all of a sudden Khidr kills the child, kind of unprovoked, no reason. And so Musa alayhi salam, seeing this, he's like, what did you do? Why did you just kill this random kid? He did nothing wrong. And then, again, Khidr says, don't question me until I tell you, why I do these things. And so this is strike two. The third event that happens in the story is Musa alayhi salam and Khidr come across a town. And, they're traveling, so they're hungry. They ask for food from these people. The people, however, in this town, they're not very friendly, and so they deny them this food and hospitality that they're looking for. Now, most of us probably, if we were in this situation, we come across people that don't welcome us, aren't welcoming to us, we would just leave, right? Just call it a day and be like, we're not wanted here. Khidr's not like that. They actually come across a wall that's kind of falling down, and instead of just walking by it, Khidr actually goes and repairs the wall. And Musa alayhi salam sees this and he's like, you know, you fixed their wall, you could like ask them for some compensation. You know, we literally were just asking them for some food a while ago. And, you know, Khidr hears this and he's like, okay, like that's it. You know, it's the third time I basically told you to not question what I'm doing. And so that's where the journey ends. But this is sort of where Khidr then starts to explain the reasoning for why he did all these things. As we go back, let's do a recap of what happened. So the first scenario, Khidr pokes a hole in the boat. The second scenario, Khidr kills the child that they just came across. And then the third scenario, he fixes a wall to people who were unkind to him. And so as we find out through Khidr, in the first scenario, the reason why he poked a hole in the boat to damage it was because unknown to Musa alayhi salam and probably anyone else, us in the story as well as we were reading it, there was actually a tyrant king in the land. And what this king was doing was he was taking ships that were good ships in good condition and taking them for himself. So in order to prevent the ship from being taken by the tyrant king, Khidr damaged it so that the fishermen who owned the ship could keep their ship. So in a way, it was like a mercy to them. Musa alayhi salam did not know this. We did not know this until Khidr told us. And Khidr knew through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the second scenario, Khidr explains that the reason why he killed the child was because his parents were actually devout believers. They believed in Allah, and what we didn't know, and what Khidr actually tells us, is that the child who he killed was actually going to corrupt them. He was going to take them off the straight path, basically. And so, you know, in a mercy to the child's parents, he ended up killing the kid in the hopes that the parents would then have another child after who would be righteous in the place of the one who would have taken them astray. And then finally, in the third story, as we find out, the wall that was falling down was actually on top of buried treasure that belonged to the orphans that were in the city. And as it turns out, if the wall had fallen, they would have uncovered the treasure, and then basically the inheritance of the orphans, who basically the treasure came from their father who was righteous himself, would have been taken away. So as a mercy to the orphans, Khidr fixed the wall in order to allow them to get this inheritance once they grew up. So why am I telling this story to you all? I'm telling you this story to basically show you all that in all these scenarios, there was unseen knowledge that we were not privy to, that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew. And He chose to give some of that knowledge to Khidr, but not to Musa alayhi salam, and not to us when we were reading this story. So the thing we can take away from this story is that we should always trust in Allah's plans. Some things we may not understand in the moment, but that shouldn't cause us to lose faith in Allah's plans, you know. Think about maybe in our own lives, right? Imagine we worked really hard to get a promotion, but we didn't get it. We studied really hard for a test, but we didn't do it as well as we wanted to. And, you know, we might feel dejected, we might feel sad. But what if, and we didn't know this, but what if, you know, had we gotten that promotion, we would have grown arrogant, and we would have grown more attached to the dunya and forgotten about the akhirah? What if we did as well in the test, but then it caused us to get a false sense of security, and as a result, neglect the rest of our studies down the line? There's so many things that we don't know, that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. And so it's important that we keep this in mind whenever we come across these uncomfortable situations. Especially now in the world that we live in, when we see everything that's going wrong in the world, all the injustices that is happening to our brothers and sisters in Palestine, in Gaza, in Syria, Lebanon, Sudan, and so many more places, it's almost easy to feel, you know, dejected, sad, and maybe even hopeless. But it's important that we don't lose hope. It's important that we stay patient, even in the face of all this adversity. It's important that we continue to try our best for what we know and what we can do, continue to spread awareness, continue to donate, help however you can. And, even though Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in charge of the outcome at the end of the day, we are still in charge of our own decisions and our own actions. On the Day of Judgment, when we are asked by Allah, what did you do when your brothers and sisters around the world were, facing injustice, were oppressed? What did you do? Did you stand by idly and watch them suffer, or did you try to do something about it? So it's okay to feel emotions when you see these things that are happening around the world. It's okay to, be sad, to feel hurt, knowing that all of this is happening. But, don't lose faith, don't lose hope in Allah's plan, for Allah is the best of planners. And as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Rum, فَاصْبِرْ إِنَّ وَعْدَ اللَّهِ حَقٌّ. Be patient, for Allah's promise is true. And so I'll leave it at that. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Brother mentioned to me earlier today that Musa Islam is the prophet that's talked about the most in the Quran. So there's definitely lessons we can learn from it. Jazakallah khair, Brother Rakha.